Hello everyone, welcome to the ROKER RAPPORT PUBCAST. We are in an unnamed location in Sunderland. We don't want to get the bar into trouble for being here ahead of the Portsmouth game. I'm your host Gav, on a round table with some good looking fellas that you can't see, but I can. Right across from the table's Chris Cam. How's Chris today?
I'm good, mate, I'm good. First time on a recording for ages.
Yes, people have probably forgot what you sound like, to be fair. But they'll soon be reminded when you start giggling. Everyone knows that giggle. Alex, to me right, how are you doing?
Not too bad. I'm having a great time here at Location Redacted. Very, very good.
Drinking your pint of Coke there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, which I bought and was nearly the cost of a pint. I'm quite disgusted.
Almost.
Yeah.
But not quite.
And to my left, I've got Neil Graney. How's Neil?
Yeah, good, thanks. Enjoying a snake bite or two, yeah. So
Yeah, I sent a photo of a snake bite in the group chat because that's what I drink, and I've sort of inspired Neil into buying them, and we're both going to be rat-arse by the end of the game, I think.
Definitely, yeah.
So the team today is as follows. We've got John McLaughlin in goal, Bailey Wright, Jordan Willis, Joe Lynch as the back three, Human 09 out wide, Power Dobson in the centre of midfield, which I'm a little bit surprised about. Lyndon Gooch and Chris Maguire just off Charlie Wyke, with Burge, Conor McLaughlin, Kyle Lafferty, Josh Scowen, Antoine Semenyo, hope I've said that right.
Just about.
Duncan Watmore and Tom Flanagan on the bench. What have I missed? Sorry, there's some gasps going on here.
Oh, it's just Mr. Sitterley.
Alright, we're just watching Leicester-Chelsea, just so people know why there's gasps in the background. So yeah, what do we think of the team, Alex? Are you expecting a good old hearty win today, or what?
Well, I'm overall quite glad that he's kept the same team, as I do believe that there's a winning blueprint in there, but failing that, obviously in the past couple of games and the midfields look quite weak in the early stages, so it's good to know that if that doesn't recover, we've got options now on the bench with the new lads.
That's the main thing for me. Like, I mean, the other day, the last game, who did we even play? We beat somebody. I've totally forgot. Tranmere, there we go. Tranmere. Lyndon Gooch didn't have the best game for me, and I was kind of thinking, like, who do we bring on for him? And there was nobody. And you sort of got that impression from what Parkinson did during the game, because we really didn't change it up all that much.
9th minute, his first substitution was.
Yeah. So it's good to see some fresh faces on there. I'm glad obviously the Semenyo transfer went through a lot earlier than it was revealed. I don't know whether it was a paperwork thing or what, but obviously the fact he's playing or in the squad today is great news. So I'm pretty happy with the team. I don't know I think I might have played Josh Scowen, to be fair. I don't know about anyone else, but George Dobson was pretty. I know it was a hard game to sort of stamp an impression on, but Dobson wasn't great down at Tranmere.
The thing is, though, there's only so much of an excuse that it being a hard game can really make for you, because at the end of the day, a game like that, where obviously the pitch is torn up, it's pretty rough, the conditions overall, players notwithstanding aren't great, but you have got to make your mark, and obviously if you're withering at that point, then there has to be another option if you can't get the game by the scruff of the neck. So to have players like Scowen in and around now that could potentially be brought on a lot earlier, obviously he's had time to settle into the team now. There's a lot of reason to assume that he could.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's why he hasn't been gung-ho with the changes. One reason is we're keeping clean sheets, we're winning games. You don't really tend to change a winning team unless totally necessary. So I guess we're in a fortunate position where we can actually give these players the game time that they need in the time that we have allotted. I guess we don't have to throw Scowen in. We're winning games, we're keeping clean sheets,
I think as well, though, I don't know, Dobson was poor against Doncaster as well. I know you're saying like Tranmere, it's like you can't put an asterisk on that game because the pitch, it was shocking, but Dobson was poor against Doncaster. He's not been amazing the last two games. I think you've got this guy behind him now in Scowen who's already fit, he's been playing all season. Throw him in there, show Dobson, listen, you can't just take your foot off the gas, there's consequences of playing underperforming. But then again, my other thought as well was that he did look tired towards the end of Tranmere. He looked very tired. And I thought, well, maybe just rest his legs. Maybe that'll give him enough to come back and be in good form. But at the end of the day, Parkinson sees him training, not me. So maybe he's looked absolutely fine. Maybe he's got the right attitude. Maybe he hasn't quite done enough in Parkinson's eyes to be dropped, which would be fair enough.
Yeah, to be honest, it's like I said before, I think it's more the case we're in decent form. So Parkinson has the luxury of not having to throw players in. What about you, Neil? What do you think of the team today?
Yeah, I think the counter argument to what's being said is that after an hour we've got really good options off the bench now. So he can say to Dobson, give us a full hour, and then we'll get you off. So I think prior to today we haven't really had the options, and those options can come on after an hour, influence the game in a positive way, and kind of some unknowns in there as well, not just to us, but Portsmouth won't really know Semenyo, you won't really know Scowen, so it'd be good to see what kind of comes off the bench. I hope Parkinson, now that he's got options, if the game isn't going well or we need to tighten up, actually make some substitutions a bit earlier, because I think 75, 80 minutes doesn't really give these kind of fringe players to kind of influence the game. So
yeah. Well, the Tranmere game, I could kind of see what needed to change by half time, and that's been the theme recently with Parkinson, is that he just tends to wait a little bit later than most managers that we've had in terms of making his subs. But at the same time, you can't argue, because we're winning games, we're keeping clean sheets. You know,
today, it's going to be a very tight. We're going to keep it very compact. We're going to frustrate them as much as we can. I don't think don't expect a lot of free-flowing football or anything like that from us going forwards. I think if we're still in the game at 0-0, or even if we were 1-0 down with sort of 20 minutes to go, I think then you're going to expect to see Semenyo, then you're going to expect to see Scowen, because then you can expect to see Lafferty as well, because I don't think Parkinson, just from the way he speaks and press conferences and the way he reacts to results in the past, as much as it might be frustrating, and I don't personally agree, I think he'll settle for a draw. And I do believe, though, that a clean sheet against Portsmouth today would be a fantastic result.
Yeah, I said the same to you earlier. I just think that this is a game where it's a case of, if we don't get beat, it's a good result. And I think the Tranmere game the other day was good practice for this, in that although they're a lot further down the table than Sunderland are, we had to be at our best to get the game won, because at the end of the day the pitch was horrendous. It was a total leveller, and it changed the dynamic of the match. The pitch was tight, just like Portsmouth is going to be today, and we have to kind of approach the game in the same way. Be prepared to win the second balls, be prepared to win as many aerial battles as we can, and just graft basically. And I just hope that the game the other day didn't take too much out of the legs of the players.
Key area is going to be midfields. Howler and Dobson, last two away games, MK Dons and then Tranmere, they weren't at it for the first half. They weren't at the second balls. They weren't attacking things. They weren't getting their foot on the ball like Dobson Power. They weren't dropping deep to collect, or they weren't doing the right thing. Second half, they always came back on and they did take control again. But if they have a first half like they have against Pompey, and our midfield gets overrun again, we'll be 1-0 down going into half time. I've got no doubt.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. If there's one other, I mean, obviously, I do buy into the belief that if a team is winning your games, or at the very least is not letting goals in, as we have done in the past 4 or 5, then obviously it's very hard to argue that there should really be changes. But if there is one that I would make, in addition to maybe having a few question marks over the midfield with them, Dobson not performing as good as he has been previously in January, I'd argue that with a good defender like Christian Burgess sat at the back there, is it really good to be playing Wyke? I mean, that number 5 Doncaster had totally pocketed Wyke for the vast majority of the game until Lafferty was brought on, and then suddenly the sheer presence up front seems a lot more tangible. I'd be tempted to argue that bringing Lafferty on could be too late if Wyke isn't getting a sniff most of the game. Obviously, that's not a discredit of Wyke before the game's even been played, because he did score against Tranmere. But given that Portsmouth are top opposition, relatively speaking, for League One, much like Doncaster, I might argue that perhaps we want a bigger target and a more sort of adept and agile one in Lafferty than we perhaps have in Wyke already. That's one thing I might say.
The thing with Lafferty is, it's great if he can come on, and we are struggling to beat Burgess basically. If he comes on, he has to make sure he stays up top. Lafferty's got a habit, and he has for his whole career, and it's already shown early doors. He's only played like an hour's worth, less than that for us. He drops deep quite a lot, and if we're chasing the game, we can't be doing that. He needs to stay disciplined. Parkinson needs to give him the instruction. Listen, you're our outball. You need to be up there. You need to be winning the ball, looking immediately for Gooch Maguire, or whether it's Semenyo at the time, whoever it is, finding a red and white shirt and linking up with them straight away. Don't be looking for the ball deep. Try and make things happen from there, because that's not going to work against their midfield.
Yeah, as I say, you've got the Portsmouth team in front of you there, Neil. So what's standing out looking at that?
I think their obvious danger man's possibly kind of Ronan Curtis. He's in good form. Marquez is playing. He's not really been that great, but I think Curtis is going to be the main danger man.
And Marcus as well, you know, he's
Yeah.
another one just starting to find his feet.
Yeah, looking at their back five, it's totally different. There's only Burgess really from last season, and I thought they looked really solid last season. Obviously, I haven't seen them too much this season, but it'll be interesting to see even the keepers on the bench.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it there, yeah. McGilvery is on the bench.
He was really, really good when we played him at our place in the league. He played a blinder.
They've also got Ben Close and Ross McCrory on the bench, and Marcus Harness actually, who I thought had a good game at the Stadium of Light. So
He's a good player, like.
yeah, I mean, it's not just Sunderland who've got options. Clearly, I'm probably going to move on to predictions now because I'm just looking at that team and I'm a little bit less confident than I don't know why because I probably should have expected half those names to be playing. But I'm a little bit worried about Cannon, Curtis, Marcus as a front three. I just think they're a better attacking outlet than we've seen in recent weeks. Yeah, I'm probably going to go for a 0-0 draw or sneak a 1-0 win. The optimistic guess would be a 1-0 win for me. What about you, Alex? What are you thinking?
I'm looking at a game like this and I just think if we want to really make a statement for the promotion push, if automatics is the ambition that we're aspiring for, then Wickham aside, because Wickham are crap, we want to be beating a team that's up there and around us. So I think this has got to be a win, but again, it's an optimistic guess. But I do think there's enough in the tank. I think this will be the first game where we do concede, but ultimately we'll go on to win. I'm going to say 2-1.
2-1. A little bit more open than I'm probably predicting. Chris, what do you think?
I'm really worried about the way we've played our last 3 games, really. And a team like Portsmouth in form, playing well up front, they're definitely going to score. My mind says we're going to lose this game, maybe 1 or 2-0 or 2-1, but my heart's going to say we're going to draw at 1-1.
Alex is just holding a steak knife to Chris as he said that.
I'd like to confirm that Alex did not just hold a steak knife to Chris's throat, nor did he threaten him in any way.
What we're thinking, Neil? What we're thinking?
I'm going to be a bit more positive. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win, I think.
Go on, lad.
I just think, looking at their team, there's obviously a reason why certain players aren't playing, but I just think we're on such a good run that if we get the early goal, I think we'll go on and win it by 2-0.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back after the game, hopefully with 3 points and something to brag about, but you never know. It's Sunderland, isn't it? And we've got a hard task ahead of us. And
I don't have to say I told you so.
Yeah, me too. I'll take the 0-0 or the 1-0 today.
Yeah.
Right, so it's half time. We're getting beat, and to be honest, I don't think we deserve to get beat at the minute. I think we're playing all right. I mean, some of the chances we've had, 09 in particular, that shot from range. We're just watching the highlights back now, and Christ Almighty, how's he not scored there? I mean, it's unlucky, isn't it? But I think we're a bit unfortunate to be down. I don't know about you, lad. I know they've had a couple of good chances, but.
You talking to us?
Yes, I'm talking to you.
Alright. Yeah, no.
Addressing all the people listening.
Everyone in this pub, there's about 200 people here.
Everywhere in undisclosed location?
Yeah.
Everyone in undisclosed location, yeah, but no, seriously. No, I think, to be honest, I think some good football's been played in the first half, relative, of course, to League One again, but I dare say if anyone's had the better rub of it, it's been Sunderland. They're only behind because we decided not to mark Christian Burgess, the biggest lad on the pitch, but you know, it is what it is.
How are you, Chris?
I think, I want to say that, I was right that we'd be 1-0 down at half time, but actually, the way I saw the game going, it's not the way we've approached it at all. We've been absolutely dominant. I think, maybe not absolutely dominant, we've definitely been in control. We've approached it very positive, controlling the ball, possession-wise, been very good. I think Maguire and Gooch have been involved, and that's something that they've not been the last couple of games. And we look better when Maguire's involved, he's getting touches. We look better when Gooch is having a run at the fullbacks. He's had Hume making those overlaps as an option, just giving him more freedom. We've looked a lot more positive in attacking, and the midfielders, crucially, have had a much better handle on the game.
My main concern is that defensively we don't look anywhere near as good as we have been in recent weeks. So, I mean, the goal itself was really bad defending, but aside from that, Pompey have had probably 3 or 4 chances where we've looked all over at the back. I mean, Bailey, I don't want to slate him because he's only been here a couple of games. Bailey Wright, a couple of those chances he's just been completely missing. I mean, people listening to this now, they're going to know the result, but if we continue to defend like that, we're going to concede another goal, so we need to tighten up. I would think about getting Scowen on, because I think Powers had a good game, but I don't think Dobson, I've not really noticed Dobson on the pitch, which is a little bit worrying.
I think Willis and Wright particularly Joel Lynch is, I mean, he needs to. I'm not a massive fan of Joel Lynch as it is, so he needs to improve generally. But they need to communicate more. They need to understand exactly where each other are at all times. There's been moments where, for the goal, that's Willis falling asleep. They've had chances where Wright's fallen asleep. But actually, if you look at some of the play, there's been times where Willis and Wright have been stood a good yard away from the Pompey players when the ball's being delivered.
Sorry, Chris. Yeah, there was that one ball, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Where they were putting some really nice footwork together, and then Lynch just squares it into the middle of the pitch, and no one's there bar a Pompey player running onto it. So I don't know. I feel like while we're playing some really good attacking football, and we, again, those listening to this now will know the result at full time, but if we'd have a second half going forward like the first, you're going to get 1 or 2 goals and you could still very much win this game. But when they've been going forward, they've been scrambling our defence quite a bit. We look quite disorganised and quite sort of like cautious. Well, not cautious, we just look like downright frightened sometimes when they're getting forward, whereas they're a bit more resolute, and that's making the difference right now, so that's got to be addressed.
I think it does come down to familiarity. And I think actually, as much as I'm not agree with you, Gavin, I'm certainly not blaming Wright. Like, I don't want to put pressure on him unnecessarily after 2 games, but he needs to take more responsibility, be a little bit more fearless. He looks like he's playing like someone who doesn't want to upset the team, or he doesn't know where he stands with people. Like, listen, you're the centre half. You're in the middle of these 2 centre backs. You're the one who sees everything. Like those times we're talking about where there's been balls played in the box and both Willis and Wright haven't been pressing up high enough. Willis doesn't really know where the Pompey players are because he's looking out at the right back position. It's up to Wright to either tell Willis where to stand, shout him, tell him where there's danger is, or intercept that danger himself. And he's not doing that right now. I can't tell you why, but he needs to just take some responsibility. Don't worry about upsetting the Sunderland players, the centre halves who've been there a while. Just step up, fill in those gaps and stop them. Like, use your instinct and stop them.
I'm going to throw Neil in at the deep end. He's just come back from the bog. What do you reckon of that, mate?
I think going forward, look really good. I think the problem with me going forward is everything's bouncing off Wyke. And it's what I said on the pod last week. I think he's just a bit kind of, where Lafferty's a bit more mobile and a bit more stronger in kind of holding the ball up. So I think otherwise we played really well. Obviously we switch off on 1 free kick. But I'd look to maybe change it to give Wyke a rest more than anything else, and get Lafferty on and play it into Lafferty's feet a bit more, I think.
Yeah, to be honest, I like the tempo we're playing at, but I just think we need to tighten up. If we tighten up and we maybe I've got a feeling that if after 60 minutes, Semenyo might come on if we're not winning, if we're not back in the game, to maybe give us a little bit impetus in the final third, because for all we've looked quite good on the ball, the final ball and the final product hasn't been great. So we'll be back at not half time. It's half time now. God, I've had about 6 snake bites. Sorry, I'm not speaking turn. Yeah, we'll be back at full time. Hopefully, we're hoping for a better second half.
Yeah.
And Alex is just agreeing with everything I say. Do you want to say yeah one more time?
Yeah.
See you in a bit. I just had to take a deep breath because I didn't really know what to say after watching that second half. I mean, everybody listening to this has heard what we had to say before the game, what we had to say at half time. I mean, at half time, I was quite optimistic, even though we were 1-0 down. Second half, that was absolutely shite. Shocking. Defending was terrible. We looked toothless up front. The substitutions made absolutely fuck all difference. That was as bad as it's been recently. I mean, Sunderland losing 2-0 to Portsmouth isn't the worst result in the world. I mean, you look at the league table. Sorry, we're 5 points off second. So it isn't the worst result in the world, but I'm really, really annoyed at that second half performance, as you can probably tell. What do we think, Alex, about that shite?
I feel like I'd probably echo a lot of what you just said, maybe minus the profanities.
I forgot you're not allowed to swear, you.
I'm not allowed to swear. No, not really. I'm advised against it, you might say, but yeah, no.
Look, it's flipping.
It was
rubbish.
Flipping hecking bad, yeah. Gavin. It's really bad. But no, I did know a lot of what you just said there. I think going into the break, you kind of thought, right, surely we've got enough firepower in us, either on the pitch already or on the bench, to get back in this game. We looked in the first half, I think you said to me a few times, we will get a goal playing like this. And had we have played it similarly in the second half, I think we would have. But they just kind of stopped. They conceded an early goal through another dodgy mistake from a set piece. Gave Portsmouth far too much of the ball in far too dangerous an area. And then after that, they just kind of like let the wind fall out the sails. there was another little spell there where Portsmouth could have had another 2 or 3 because of how sort of lacklustre and how just scrambled we suddenly looked. It's a real shame, and going forward again that we offered very little. I think that if you were going to compile a highlight reel of that game from Sunderland's point of view, you could leave out the entire second half bar the goal they scored, because there was nothing to it. White again was toothless. The substitutions didn't make enough of an impact. My patience with Duncan Watmore is running very, very thin.
Yeah,
I think the fact that it's even still existent is probably speaks quite generously of
What is the point of Watmore? That's, you know, what does he offer?
Well, when
He's on 20 odd grand a week, man. That is shite. What is the point?
when have we ever this season? When have we ever brought him on and like subsequently looked better? Never.
Well, that's a good point. He has absolutely nothing to offer this team. I know he's clearly a nice bloke, but my patience has gone with that bloke. He's just so bad. I'm not going to pin the loss on Duncan Watmore. There was a lot worse. There were worse performances than Watmore's. I mean, the defending was absolutely shocking today, Chris. What do you think?
At half time, I think the key things we said were listen, right, need to be better, and they weren't. And then one thing Neil said was, let's get White off, he's been poor, get Lafferty on. He did that, and as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh, that's a good idea, because Lafferty's got a bit more about him, he'll be able to, null Burgess' defensive ability a bit better, and we just didn't play to him at all. As soon as he came on the pitch, we didn't play a ball into him, once, I think, maybe once or twice after he'd already been caught offside or something like that, but we didn't play to the strengths that Lafferty had, and the midfields, Power and Dobson both at fault, but we just got overrun. Need to refresh.
Is there anything to worry about there, Neil? What do you think?
I think it's a blessing in disguise that we've got beat. I think it's a necessity now to make 2 or 3 changes next week, freshen the team up. As Chris said, in terms of bringing Lafferty on, he didn't really do much, but at the same time, the ball into him was really poor. I think overall we looked tired and/or got bullied in the second half. So I think probably next week, 3 out of the next 4 games are at home. So we could be sitting here in 2 or 3 weeks, kind of second or third in the league. But I think if anything, it's a game that we need to lose just as a reality check, really, to see what happens in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Totally get that, because it's a weird thing. It's today was really poor. First half, it was you can make the argument and say that we were potentially the better team. The second half, we were so far off the pace. There's individuals, and I sort of alluded to this before the game, that we've got the last 2 or 3 games, Tranmere's got a big asterisk on it, fair enough. But there's been a few games where it's individuals haven't lived up to their standards and their level of performance. Dobson being key culprit, I think Hume falls in that category.
And probably Lyndon Gooch as well.
Gooch, I think Maguire as well.
Yeah. Maguire was. The last 2 games I haven't really noticed him on the pitch. I know he got an assist in the last game before today, but they have to be better. And the reason we've brought these extra players in is to give competition. And if I'm Phil Parkinson watching that today, I'm thinking we have to change it up, because there's clearly, I don't know whether it's tiredness or maybe just getting too comfortable with being out there, but that is as bad as we've played in a couple of months, the second half today. I'm just so disappointed after the first half how badly we responded, you know.
I think what I noticed second half was just a lack of leadership again, in terms of who was, particularly when we went 2-0 down, it was almost let's keep it at 2 as opposed to let's get back in the game. So I think, again, it's changing it up. It's kind of getting the leaders out there to think, right, what can we do differently? And I think
it's a strange one, because I think I agree, but I think our strength was that we had Howard has grown into the captaincy role really well. Dobson, obviously a former captain himself, he was doing bits. Willis had come in, he had 09 on a string the last few games. He was unbelievably good at controlling that. I think we looked a bit weaker down the left-hand side because Lynch and Hume didn't have that same connection. But today, Willis just lost it. Wright wasn't talking to anybody. He was just sort of nobody took that game by the scruff of the neck, and it is frustrating. But I think it is good to also look at it in perspective. That was a 9-game unbeaten run that just came to an end. You talk about double-figure digits of unbeaten runs. You're talking about elite teams. We're not an elite team by any means. Even if we're good for this league, it's not an elite run. So let's just take that on the nose. There's a lot of There's a lot of bad results you'll get in a season. Losing away at Fratton Park is not one of them. This is a team in Portsmouth who are unbeaten. They've just come into form. It's annoying the way that we lost the game, but in the context of the season, it's not a big deal. And Neil's right in what he says. It couldn't have come at a better time, really. Shake up the team, wake up those who might have been slacking, give an opportunity for Parkinson to cut some players out, to maybe replace them. But there's no reason to overreact if you're the manager, because that game was reminding everybody, right, we're not just going to walk it. We might have had a good run, but we're not just going to keep walking it. You need to step up every single week.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. I just think, I fully agree with Chris there. When you look at the context of the season, I think a nine-game unbeaten run from a team which do have exploitable flaws, not saying that we're a team that aren't particularly good right now because we have a lot of strengths, but a team that does have flaws, I think that will breed complacency. And I think now is as good a time as any to think, right, okay, we're still in it. The automatics are very much in touching distance. If we can regroup, if we can perhaps shuffle the deck, if the players who are already here are going to kick up the backside by bringing the new recruits in, then, we can push on and we can be a better team for it. And, no better challenges against Ipswich at home, where I think we can sort of take away the lessons from this game, bring in some of the new lads and see what the culmination of that entails when we play Ipswich, because it's, we need to see an immediate impact, and we need to prove to ourselves now that we can beat teams that are in and around us, because today, obviously, we were overrun by a team of our calibre for this league. So we've got to prove that when we put our wrongs right, that we can prove that we're superior to the teams vying for the same spots we are.
I think when you're looking end of the season, when you're looking at the playoff picture and the automatic promotion, it will come down to maybe nine or so teams. It's going to be really, really close between all those sides. I think I'll be surprised if any one team pulls away. You're looking at the top now, Rotherham and Wickham. We're closer to Ipswich now than we are to catching Portsmouth because of that results. So that to me is there's nothing to say that we can't still get up there. So when it comes to the end of the season, it'll be that close. From a Sunderland point of view, if we can continue to take care of the teams below us and handle them, we will be constantly in that conversation. The difference between automatic promotion and playoffs will be how good are you when it comes to the decent sides. You look at players like Luke O'Neill, right back, is he good enough to play against a decent League One team? League One is not strong this season, so we'll get away with him there all season long. But when it comes to maybe playoffs or the last few weeks of the season when we're deciding, he comes up against Rotherham and their team, is he going to be good enough to cope? Have we got the personnel to get us across the line against the best teams? Because I think we'll get there. Where we end up eventually finishing will depend on either tactically or I don't think it'll be attitude, but I think it might be tactically, and we might get found out for a lack of depth.
Is there anything to worry about?
The key thing is kind of a plan B from Parkinson. I think when he made the changes, he stuck with the kind of 3-5-2, and he maybe should have kind of gone 4-4-2. We couldn't have been any worse at the back. Put Lynch left back, and then maybe just kind of go a bit kind of change it up a bit. But I think we were just a bit predictable going forward all day, and I think it worked first half. Second half, we're just ineffective going forward. So I think maybe Parkinson's learned that, switch it up a bit, but also switch the tactics up a bit as well.
I'm kind of worried that the run we've been on, we've seen some good football, and we've seen some good results as a result. We've seen some good defensive performances. I mean, what way will this go? I know it's hard to call right now, but what way does it either goes one or two ways, doesn't it? We either learn from the experience and we dust ourselves down, as Steve Bruce would say, and we wipe our brow and we get on with it and we kick on from here, or we go through another spell of bad form, which to me, at this stage where we are in the league table, it wouldn't be ideal, would it? I mean, we've got ourselves back in touching distance now. We want to maintain the pace. We want to keep up with where we are, and I'm just a little bit concerned about where it might go from here. But that's the Sunderland fan in us. I can't help it. That's the way it is. Being a Sunderland fan, you can't help but expect the worst.
No, absolutely not. I think it is pretty much, it's a fork in the road now. It's either you can regroup and rebuild, or quite frankly you don't. And if the lessons from today aren't learned, then Ipswich will beat you as well. Because the fact of the matter is that while in the first half, when we had some confidence and a bit of momentum, we looked like scoring, we looked like a good team. Some of the attacking movements were really, really good and were far better than Portsmouth overall. but we were undone by daft mistakes in defence. Obviously, the first goal, Burgess, completely unmarked for that header. At end of the day, he's the most sort of like physically potent player for the set pieces of Portsmouth, and he was totally just neglected that we should be marking him. So that's obviously a big problem. We've got to focus on the fundamentals with stuff like that. The second goal as well from a corner, it got into the middle there far too easily, and there weren't enough bodies to get it out the way and to clear the danger. These are fairly textbook mistakes that the teams fighting promotion ultimately wouldn't make. So if we're meant to be a team that's going for promotion, we need to basically tidy up and watch our backs and watch our focus, because I think they are getting just a little bit complacent. They've defended so well, so I think the foot's come off the gas ever so slightly during all these attacking threats, and consequently it's bit us in the bum basically.
Obviously for the next game, we've got a bit of a decision to make in that. Well, we just got beat, so the manager's got to maybe think about shaking it up or not. He's stuck by the players that have got him this far in the majority of games. He's largely kept the same 11, but what does he change for the next game, Neil?
I think obviously Joe Lynch looked as though he was dead. So
we didn't even talk about that. God, I mean that was some knockout.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Joel. Bring in big Aleem Ozturk. I think Ozturk's been really unlucky to kind of be out of the squad. I think he's out of all our defenders, he's probably the most dependent in terms of you expect from him, in terms of no shit kind of thing, bit basketball on the halfway line. But I'd certainly bring Ozturk back in. I'd probably bring Scowen in for one of the centre midfielders, probably to give Dobson a rest, or drop him. However way you want to look at it.
Would you freshen up that attacking line as well? I mean, Gucci and Maguire have been pretty flat the last 3 games.
I think so, yeah. It would be brutal to drop any of them, but I think to bring the new lad in, Semenyo, is it?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't do much today, but we were 2-0 down.
Yeah. He didn't do much, but I just think the squad needs to realise that we're in a promotion push, and everyone needs to be on the toes. So 2 or 3 changes, I think I'll do the world of good.
Well, last January we brought in Ledbetter, we brought in Morgan, we brought in Dunn, and that was the intent. Well, and Craig, yeah. That was the intended impact, was that these players would come in and challenge for places, and they didn't really improve the team. This time around, I mean, they have to, because for us, as well as we've played in recent weeks, we haven't seen the best from players in positions who have went largely unchallenged. So attacking midfield, left wing back, centre mid, you could even say, because Power and Dobson have been a shoe-in. I would seriously consider making 3 or 4 changes for the next game, just because there's a reason we brought those players in, and you've got to shake things up occasionally to prove a point. And if it was me, and I'm no football manager, but if that was me and I've watched that performance today, I would say fair play, lads, you've done well to this point. That was not good enough, and Portsmouth are a promotion rival, and you have to question whether some of those players they've still got the same hunger that they had 2 or 3 games ago. Maybe a position out of the team on the bench would do the likes of a Gucci or Maguire the world of good. You never know.
Dobson's the one who you need to get rid of. Well, not rid of, rather. That's a bit extreme. He's the one that needs to be dropped immediately, because the past 3 games now he's just not been at a satisfactory standard. And I don't know the lad personally. I don't know his mentality, but he doesn't seem like someone who's going to benefit from the continued faith of his manager if he keeps playing bad.
Well, he's 21-year-old, isn't he? You've got to remember how young he is. He's going to go through spells like this.
Of course he is, and that should be why Scowen's on the bench, to replace him for the forthcoming game, so that you've got someone with maybe renewed hunger, renewed energy, who can get out there and can do a better job until Dobson's spell on the sideline sort of runs its course and he gets that momentum back again.
I don't think it's down to hunger. A perfect example, Dobson. Yeah, I agree. Dobson shouldn't start next game. It should be Scowen. you look at Denver Hume start of the season. He played the first 2 games. He was absolutely shocking. He was so poor. He got dropped by Jack Ross at the time. He's come back and he's been absolutely nailed on starting 11 since then. He's been so good. He has dropped a little bit recently, but the point I'm making is it's not going to do Dobson any harm at all just to have a quick sit on the bench, watch Scowen do a job in the team and think, well, I can do that. Get that hunger back, get that fire in your belly and come back out and do a good job.
Scowen's dropped the league for a reason. Scowen's played 40 games in the Championship last season. Yeah. You know what I mean? I know he hasn't played so much this year, but my point is that this is a player who is a capable Championship centre midfield player. He hasn't come to Sunderland to sit on the bench. He's come to take he's come to take George Dobson's place. He's come to take Max Power's place.
Or Max Power. Power has been he's really grown at the captaincy role. But if George Dobson's failing, some of that responsibility lies with Power. If he's the more experienced midfielder, there's only so much you can do, obviously, but you need to make sure that you've got your centre midfielder partner on the string and you're looking after him. It's Dobson obviously holds the blame for his performances, but for Power as well, you've got to look at him and say, listen, are you doing enough yourself to make sure that Dobson has an easier life?
I think Power was probably Sunderland's best player, Tranmere. Today, a little bit anonymous, but my problem with Dobson is that when he plays well, it's because he works hard, he runs a lot, he gets stuck in. Where's the quality? Where's the passing quality? Where's the quality of the final third?
My verdict with Dobson is, I think his poor performances the last few games have come from fatigue. I don't want to blame him for quality. I think he's one of the few players who've got the actual audacity and the balls to play a pass. He'll spot 09 out on the wing, or he'll spot Hume out in space, and he will play the ball. And I give him the benefit of the doubt, say most of the time he gets it right. And he has got that quality there within him. He's not going to be the player who unlocks the defence for you. He's not going to be the player who splits the centre halves and puts Wyke in for a sitter, which he'll miss. But neither is Scowen. You're looking for a player with energy who can get things, who can start your attack. At the moment, Dobson's not doing that. Whether it's because, it's because he hasn't got the energy. It's not because he's not got the quality to do that. He's shown us he's got that quality. He just needs to spell out of the team. That's all it is. Even if it's just 1 or 2 games, that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with dropping a player.
Would you drop George Dobson next game?
I don't think it's a case of dropping people. I think it's a case of rotating the squad to A, keep players hungry, and B, make sure that we're on the front foot. I think this time of the season it's about making sure that whoever's in there, particularly down the spine of the team, is kind of on the top of the form. And if that means kind of swapping teams around, or swapping the team around, to mean that there's hungrier players on the pitch, then I'm all for that. I think it's been great to have a settled 11, but a settled 11 doesn't win leagues or doesn't win promotions. I think it's a case of utilising the squad to its full and bringing in players now, and it may be for 1 or 2 games until the other players have a rest. But yeah, I think certainly in terms of Dobson, he's a young kid. You've got to remember he's 21, 22. He's come in. He's kind of been a bit part player. He's kind of played well in the last 5 or 6 games, but maybe it's time to just take the heat off him more than anything else and put Scowen, someone more kind of experienced, in the way and just see how he goes.
Chris is dying to jump in here, so I'll bring him in.
I think what's crucial is, if this happened a month ago, it would have been meltdown time, everyone would have been furious, it would have been a really, really bad result. Because we've gone on such a strong run, and Parkinson deserves all the credit, and the players especially deserve a lot of credit for the way we've played. They've got credit now. They've got credit with the fans. You can have a performance like this. That's absolutely fine. It's all about how you respond. Parkinson could put exactly the same 11 out for the next game in a week's time. And if I would have no problem with that. As much as I've said, I think Dobson should be replaced, and there are definitely areas we should look at. Listen, if that same 11 go out and they come out with the right hunger and the right attitude, because they've been given a bit of a shock here by Portsmouth, that's absolutely fine. That's the way you win leagues. You utilise your squad to its fullest. Absolutely, but it's all down to your mentality. You've got to see that result now, and Parkinson has to challenge his players to say, listen, that wasn't good enough. It's up to you now to show me. You've shown us over the last month that you are good enough to do this. Let's go after it every single week. This result against Pompey could just be a blip in the middle of a really strong run. We could go another 9 games unbeaten, and suddenly that loss just is the middle of a really strong position. So I've got no issue with Sunderland losing this game. It's all about how we respond, whether that's by the manager making changes or by the players taking that onus upon themselves to really, really go for it.
Alex is nodding.
Yeah, but nodding doesn't generally require a verbal cue, so I mean, I was just kind of nodding along. But if you owe me 2 pennies worth, I'll give you it. I think looking ahead, as we've said there, Chris is totally right. It's about the response. The game itself could be a means to an end for that response to come about, and it could be a case where we need that tonic sooner rather than later. And better we now have the revelation that some of these fingers need to be pulled out rather than we maybe get further down the line, sort of like grind out a couple more draws and some, fairly unremarkable wins. And then as we reach March, April time, realise, oh wait, hang on, actually we need to make some improvements here. We'll get beat 3-0 off someone, and then suddenly it's, we'll hit the panic button and think, oh crap, we're very close to the top 2 here and we haven't made the desired impact. Obviously, should we get this impact now, then Chris is totally on the money. We could get another 9 games unbeaten run, and then suddenly this is, as he said there, it's a slight little crack. It's a little chasm in like in a road, like leading basically into second or first place. To make it, just spat on your gav, sorry, just to make it a bit poetic, But yeah, I'm fully of the opinion that we can respond to this in the right way. We have a manager who I think has done enough now to convince the naysayers, which, let's be honest, is the unanimous voice of the fan base almost at this point, that, it can adapt.
Hold on, are you saying you are the voice of the fans?
I'm saying that I am part of the voice of the fans. I'm not saying that I am the voice of the fans. We've been down this road before. I do not wish to revisit it.
So, we're obviously talking now about maybe experimenting with the team selection, but the next game is against Ipswich, who are a good team up there at the, who are going to be in amongst the promotion race when it comes to the end of the season. Is this really the game to experiment?
I don't think it's the game to experiment necessarily, but to allude to the earlier point, I think we may get found out with this kind of formation that we've got of like the 3-4-3 or whatever you want to put it. I think Parkinson needs to work on, like, if we change it, we change the formation and not just the kind of who's playing.
Yeah.
So I think today, Portsmouth, particularly, I think why it kind of like went the second half is that Portsmouth worked us out. So I think we need to kind of think that if Ipswich match us up, kind of what can we do differently formation-wise, as well as kind of who's on the pitch as well.
So, final thoughts, and how are you feeling right now? Sitting watching Chris make a paper aeroplane out of a napkin.
It's going straight in your eye, that as well.
I mean, how are you feeling right now?
Right now, well, I mean, with regard to the game or Chris's paper aeroplane, because I've got 2 very different answers depending on what the question is.
Well, are you depressed that Sunderland just lost? Or are you...
I mean, you can't be happy when your team loses. Like, it's
No, but my point is like, we lost today, but we did go on a 9-game unbeaten run.
That's right.
Does it soften the blow a little bit? Because we weren't going to win every game for the rest of the time.
No, I knew there was going to be 1, 2, possibly a few more losses between now and the end of the season. So for it to be Portsmouth away isn't a particularly remarkable sort of thing to realise that could be a game that you're going to lose on. But I mean, end of the day, I think everything that we've said there, I'll reiterate one last time. It's about the response, and the response could absolutely come now. Just to go back to the original point, Parkinson, I think, has done enough for the fan base who very much against him, were calling for his head, only back after the Bolton game. He's done enough to convince us that he can formulate a plan when one doesn't initially work. As we saw, he persisted with 5-3-2, and that worked. Can he switch it up? Can he change something and persist with that to generate the same kind of success? I think he's certainly earned the right to try, and he's got my patience for the foreseeable, put it that way.
Well, I said it when I was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago in the studio that that really, I think he's earned the right to see the season out at least, because, I mean, it was low. It was low when it was low. Boxing Day 2019, it was low. As I sit here right now, we're a lot better off, and we weren't going to win every game between now and then. And I've just got to hope that.
You know
what it is, right? I need to inform people listening what's going on. So I'm sat trying to be dead serious, talk about footy, and I've got some dick trying to throw a napkin in me pint. You know what I mean? What's going on?
Can I just say that probably the biggest disappointment of the day isn't the results.
It's Chris's aeroplane.
No, it's the fact that we're doing the pubcast and Alex has had a pint of Coke, a pint of lemonade and a pint of water.
I had on. So, Alex is soft as shite, basically.
Right.
He's drank nothing with a drop of it. You know what it is? I could, if it was one drink between pints, I could think fair enough, but he's drinking pop. Tells me he doesn't drink.
I don't drink.
That's because he used to be in a rehab facility.
It's not true.
No, sorry, that was Connor, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Connor, yeah.
Yeah.
That was Connor.
That Connor... Connor genuinely got sent to a rehab facility when he was living in America because he held a party in his room. He did tell the story on the podcast years ago, so I'm going to tell it again.
But massive dirt on a clumsy
But he held the party, or somebody held a party in a room when he was at uni in America, and the police crashed it, and they made him go to rehab. This is Connor, who's like Alex and doesn't drink. No. Yeah, trying to make Connor go to rehab, and he said no. But yeah, I'm about 8 pints deep of snake bite, and I'm ready to go home. So we're gonna.
I've had loads of pints. Yeah. Listen to me. Listen how.
I'm hard as out, mate.
You're not like. I mean, you could be.
Now, I mean, to be fair, there's something to day up. I don't feel that pissed off because it just is what it is, isn't it? Fucking hell, man. I mean, we haven't.
What's that noise you made?
It is what it is. If you ask me again after Ipswich if I'm annoyed, then it may be a different answer if we get beat. But right now, after 9 games unbeaten, can't really complain that we've lost one. It's just one of them things, and it's about how we respond from here. And I just hope that we don't fall back into bad habits. We've done some real good work in the last couple of months, or the last month even, since Boxing Day really, and we have to keep it up because we know these players are capable of being better than anybody in this league. I mean, I don't think Portsmouth played particularly well today. 2 set pieces, 2 goals. We got caught out. It is one of those things. You know, we battered Wickham, who were top of the league. These things happen to good teams, and we just have. It's about what we do from here. It'll show how resilient we are, how tough we are if we respond with a win against Ipswich. And I just hope that the players don't take this too much to heart, and you know. They think we're gonna go twice as hard next time round.
The result against Ipswich is amazing. It's about a performance.
Yeah,
it's got to be a good performance against Ipswich. If we end up drawing it or losing it to an unlucky moment or whatever, that's fine as long as it's a good performance. It has to be strong. We have to be positive. The players have to be at it for the full 90 minutes, not just the first half. If that happens, we'll be all right. And also, rest in peace, Joe Lynch.
Well, just to be devil's advocate for the final point, now we've got to win.
Well, that was us. We've had a little bit too much to drink apart from Alex. Over and out.
Yeah.